Hello, hello, hello. I cannot believe the time has come. If you have been following my journey, my content creator journey, it's been maybe like 8 years now, and I have been getting nudged to do a YouTube channel for honestly so many years. But to be completely honest with you, I had for some reason this like resistance to being on camera. And so I was like, okay, I'll just like do a podcast because there was like an option between podcast or YouTube. So I was like, okay, I'm not really that comfortable in front of a camera. So let me start off with podcasting. But even before that, I was a blogger, right? So I went from completely behind the scenes with typing, and then I went to podcasting, and then eventually made my way here. So I am here. If you've been following me, you know that this has been a long time coming. If you're an avid YouTube watcher, please forgive me. I am new to this world, and so thank you for welcoming me. And also, side note, so it's called the window of tolerance. You can expand your capacity to sit in discomfort, right? And so it's so funny because I made a declaration in my business last year to be more open to being on camera. And then literally once I said that, the universe, God, whoever that you believe in, was like, okay, fine. And so I got the opportunity to have a wellness segment on the local news. And so I have to get filmed quite often now. And so it was funny because the universe was like, okay, say motherfucking less. We'll give you a platform that you have to be on the camera. So anyways, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I didn't introduce myself. Hi. Hello. My name is Asia Camacho Hilario. I am a self-love coach. I've been a self-love coach full-time for 6 years. I just celebrated my 6 years. I guide women to break free from their trauma of the past and the pain in the past to elevate their life and to manifest their dreamiest life, right? Like I've helped clients manifest their dream. Someone won an Emmy. I've had marriages that were manifested, dream partners that were manifested, careers that were manifested, all the things, right? And so I help them break past the chains of the past because we do get held back by the trauma of our past. That's really what I'm passionate about, is trauma healing. And so that is me. I also have a podcast. It's called, right now it's called Business Baddies Podcast, but I'm pivoting to Asia and Alchemy, which is going to be the same name of this podcast, of this YouTube. Anyways, so I wanted to do my first episode on my breakup. So I'm really going to try to condense it, but y'all know, if you know, you know, I'm a fucking yapper. And there's also a very, very specific reason why I wanted to do a YouTube video on it instead of like a post. Because in the past, when I've been through a breakup, I've just done a really long post on Instagram. But I was like, no, there's really there's multiple learning lessons in this. And I really, really want to share it. I felt called to share it. I even offered my now ex. I don't even like the term ex because I just feel like it has like a negative connotation. Someone who I was in a former relationship with. That sounds better, right? I also asked him if he wants to watch this and approve it. If you know me and if you followed me, I don't like to talk shit about people in the past. I view them as learning lessons, and I don't want this channel to be about that. I don't want my content to be about that. So even if you look at my past posts about my exes, they're all in a good light. And it's not to say that it's covered in like this like cotton candy picket white fence like kind of toxic positivity. I'm gonna be real, very real on here. And so there's key topics that I want to cover today on today's episode. Is that what it's called? Episode? And another reason why, if you haven't noticed now, the reason why everyone says that I need to do a YouTube channel is because my facial expressions and my gestures. Because one thing about me is you'll be able to read whatever I feel on my face because I'm a very like dramatic and very like animated person. So take a seat, step into my office. Where do I want to start with this? Okay, I'm looking at my, oh, sorry, that's loud. I am looking at my outline. Where the fuck do we begin? Okay, I first and foremost want to say that I manifested my dream guy. If you have been following me for a while, maybe this is, even if you have and you're new to this, the past 2 breakups that I've been in, I did a heart sabbatical. So what a heart sabbatical is after the breakup, you just focus on you. I didn't entertain anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't flirting, texting, none of that. I like removed all of that. And bitch, you would be surprised at how much that fucking drags you, right? Like my first one I did for, I think a year. Yeah, the first one I ever did because I heard about it on someone else's podcast and I was like, oh my gosh, that would fucking drag me. Not even because, when we're in a breakup, we're super vulnerable and things are just so fresh and you, because you're used to all the dopamine hits, like the text from the person, the hugs, the kisses, all these things, when you're used to having that on a daily basis and then you remove it, like it can seem like you're going through fucking withdrawals, right? Because it's just like constant dopamine hit, constant attention, constant like love, all the things, right? And so when you go through a breakup, you literally feel like everything's fucking crumbling, right? And so that's when in the past I've like numbed that like withdrawal symptom with like alcohol or partying or just being constantly with friends and distracting myself, right? Sometimes distracting yourself is good, like especially when you're too in your head. However, too much of it is like actually numbing, right? So with my heart sabbatical 2 breakups ago, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking face myself. I'm sober, by the way. I've been sober for 5 or 6 years, probably 5 years now. And sober, not California sober. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke, any of that. And so I mention that not to say that I'm better than anybody because I don't think that. I'm just letting you know, I'm looping you in that I am facing these motherfucking breakups like head on. No distractions, no numbing, just fucking raw dogging. So anyway, so I went through the heart sabbatical. That dragged me. That really made me realize like, damn, do I really love my own company? Like you think you do, and then like a heart sabbatical happens and you're like, oh my God. And so anytime I felt like I needed like attention or validation or just I needed love, I would give it to myself. And I'm probably gonna cry on this. I'm gonna try not to cry throughout this whole video. And it's not to say that crying's bad, but the face that I make when I'm crying and you can't even like be able to hear the words that I'm saying, right? So I'm just gonna try to like, I probably will. Anyways, so did the heart sabbatical, and after the heart sabbatical, you are really, really intentional with dating. I have my list of non-negotiables. I have my high priority list, and if you know me, you know that I'm very strict. I'm a strict ass bitch in these streets. For example, one of my non-negotiables has to be active in therapy. There have been my friends who have introduced me to people, and people, I get, I'm not lucky. I am such a yapper, and I'm, especially being on a small island. I just moved back last summer, and so like I'm an eligible bachelorette, right? Like People know that I'm single, and it's very rare these days being my age on a small, tiny island with no kids and unmarried and single, right? Gang, gang. So, yeah, so people always try to hook me up with people, right? And it's funny because that's my number one non-negotiable. Actually, two non-negotiables. My two big non-negotiables that I am not negotiating. It doesn't matter if they have everything else and they look great on paper and all these things. I'm sticking to these two things. And those two things are believes in God or a higher power. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in God or if you believe in something outside of yourself that's higher than yourself, right? So that's number one. Number two is you have to be actively in therapy or actively in a coaching program or have a coach. Actively, not in the past. You have to be actively in coaching. So, anyways, what the fuck? It's all important anyways, and I'll tie it back. But it made me really, really intentional. And then I went through a breakup, the last breakup, not this recent, but the one before him, because I found out that he was a sex addict. And yeah, I won't get into that, but it was pretty bad. And so I've forgiven him, all these things, right? So then I went on a 2-year, I didn't intentionally set out to be single for 2 years, but it just happened that way. And so it's so funny because, to be honest, I have manifested everything that I want in my life. I literally, you can't see this behind me, but I'm literally have an ocean view. I'm 5 minutes from the beach. I live in my hometown that I grew up in, that I've always wanted to return to since I was younger. I launched my nonprofit last year. I'm writing a book, which is my number one dream. Number two dream was launch a nonprofit, right? And so, and I love my life. I'm my own boss. I traveled the world. I'm a nomad, all these things. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that sometimes I get waves of loneliness. Because like I've manifested things, right? And it's just the husband that I haven't manifested yet. And I've worked on this with my coach. Oh, my dog hairs. Worked on it with my coach and everything. And something that I've had to actively work on is to surrender and trust that it's inevitable, right? I know that logically, I know that my person is out there, like exactly what I want, because I'm exactly what I want. No, but seriously. I'm joking, but also seriously. And so I know that love, a pure love exists because I'm love. That's a motherfucking bar. I know that pure love exists because I am love. I am the person that I would be looking for or desire. And so are you, right? You are proof that what you're looking for exists because you exist. Okay? Anyway, so it's so funny because I'm going to do a brief side quest. So I really liked this guy. I hope he doesn't watch this video. He's my friend now. I met him at my former client's wedding, and he's handsome, spiritual, all the things, right? And so he checked marked everything, has been to therapy, he's sober, all the things. And so because of distance, we didn't pursue each other, right? And so I really hope he doesn't watch this. Because of distance, we didn't pursue each other, and so we just remained friends, just solely friends. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, I hope that something happens to where we can be together, right? And I wasn't pursuing him or chasing him because I don't chase. However, we kept contact. We were like talking every day, all these things. And then he was going to go on a work sabbatical. And so he was going to take a whole month off. And he had said that we were talking about Saipan. I live on Saipan. And so I kind of got my hopes up because I'm like, oh, is he going to visit me? And I live on the other side of the world because he lives in the States. And so I was like getting my hopes up, and then he even said he looked at flights, so I was like getting even more excited, right? And then eventually when he told me that he made a decision of where he was going. Sorry, I play with my hair a lot when I'm like talking or filming. Yeah, if you notice that. And then he let me know that he was going to Guatemala instead. And I felt some type of way about it. I was like, well, fuck me, right? No, I'm just kidding. But like, I was just like, ouch, okay. And this is an important lesson. I thought I was detached to the outcome of this, right? I thought I was like, oh yeah, if he like chooses another place, whatever, like I'm surrendered, I'm detached from it. The key to seeing that you're not detached to something is when something doesn't go your way and you have an emotion to it. In this case, I was sad. I was like bummed and I was disappointed and I was also kind of mad. It's not to say it was his fault, but I was just like, damn, then don't fucking say that you were. This is not me talking to him, by the way. This is just how I was processing my anger, because I was like, then don't fucking tell me that you were looking at tickets. Like, don't even fucking say that, because my hopes were up, right? And this was in my journal that I was journaling. I would never say it to him. I was just expressing my anger. Anyways, so I knew that I had an attachment to that because I felt all these emotions. Because if I didn't have an attachment, then it would be neutral. It would be neutral. I would be like, okay, like great. And I couldn't be happy for him yet. So I had processed all the emotions. And then I was able to get to a point where I could text him back and be like, I'm so happy for you. Like, where are you going? Like, he was sending me pictures, all these things. And so, anyways, I knew that I had an attachment to that. So after that whole situation, I'm grateful for it. I was like, you know what? I let go. I let go of the timeline of meeting my person. I'm going to be in my fun era, right? Because I was like going on intentional dates. And it's not to say don't go on intentional dates, because very much do that. But I was going into dates with my checklist, with like the questions I wanted to ask and all these things. And it's like I was treating it as if it was an interview, right? And that's not being detached. That's just being detached is trusting that you'll know that this person isn't your person. You have to trust your intuition, right? And so after the whole situation of him not coming to Saipan, I was like, you know what? I see where I wasn't detached, and now I'm fully detaching. I'm gonna have my fun era. I've never had a fun era in my life. In my 20s, I was always in a relationship, so I was like, fuck it. Fun era, let's motherfucking go. And so I was like, okay. So I did, and the universe is motherfucking funny because I met my ex, my just most recent ex, literally like 2 days after I said that I was going to be in my fun era. I thought I was going to be in my fun era with him, and I told him that too. I told him that. And so it's funny because I met him at the gym. So I was at the gym, and it's funny because I don't ever stick around with like my computer, but I had to like send an email. So I went to the front of the gym to send an email, open up my laptop, and then he came in, he touched down on Saipan, and he came in and signed up for a gym membership. And then he was like asking the front desk person, hey, are there any good hikes here? And she was like, oh my gosh, it's funny that you asked, because the best person to ask about that is sitting over there. And she points to me. And she was like, go ask her. And so he came over to talk to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I can send you a bunch of like recommendations, blah, blah, blah. And then we started texting. And then I was like, wait, this is the guy that this is the guy that I can be in my fun era with, right? Like no strings attached, just like knowing in my mind that I'm going to meet my person regardless. Like it's inevitable. So how would I act if I knew that meeting my person is inevitable? I would not be so fucking pressed to meet someone, right? I would just go with the flow, whatever, have fun and all these things. And that's what happens. All my friends who are in aligned, fruitful, healthy marriages, it's when they've like completely just let go of a timeline. And so I let go, and then in comes this angel of a guy, and I'll talk about him in a bit, but like I met him, and then we were texting, and I was like, yeah, I really like his vibe. And then we went on our first date, and I was like, damn, I don't know if I could just have fun with this guy, because he is such a catch. Like he's great. He's been to therapy. He's very deep. He's very like just ticks all the boxes. And mind you, going into this date, I didn't have like a checklist of things. I didn't have my clipboard, which I usually do. I didn't ask him certain questions. It was like naturally flowy. And I was like, yeah, I really, really like this guy. And so things happen and we keep seeing each other and we just fall like head over heels. And that's why if you follow me, you're just going to be shook about hearing, or like maybe shook watching the title of this video, because like everyone was meeting him. I was introducing him to my friends and they were like, we love him. Like, this is my favorite person that you've introduced me to. And which I don't introduce people often, by the way, but like he is a person that when he walks in, he just lights up the room. He's just like so magnetic. Also, his biceps are just had to take a swig of water. He's very good looking, but that is not his best trait, surprisingly, because that would be usually at people's top of the list, right? But anyways, so we were dating and then we just broke up. I don't know when this is coming out, but from now when I'm recording this, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And so I am going to explain a few things, and I just needed to set up the runway for that I really, and it's so funny, side note, it's so funny because there's this gong that is on the island at this Thai place, and right before I met him, like literally like 2 days before I met him, the cashier and the owner, I think he's the owner of the Thai place, was like, you hit this gong a few times. I think it was like 8 times. And then on the last one, you hit it really hard, but you have to wish for something and then you hit it really hard. 2 days, I think it was 2 or 3 days before I met my ex, I had wished to meet my partner. But I didn't have like a timeline, right? I was like, okay, I'll make a wish. I mean, I have fucking everything that I want in my life right now. And so I did it. And then I met my ex. And so it was so funny because people were sending me videos of going to that place for that gong. And then people on Instagram were like, where do I find this place? Like, what is the name? And then someone like in the States was like, yeah, where can I find a gong? Blah, blah, blah. And it was just like a whole thing. And so you can imagine how much my ass clenched when, you see now why I made a YouTube video. You can see why my ass clenched when we broke up. Because I'm like, oh my God, motherfuckers is going to hit the gong and I'm over here and my manifestation is gone. Right? So I'll get into... In this, I will get into why we broke up, because like I bet everyone's fucking shooketh, because he was like my dream guy, right? Not even just on paper. We laughed, like I laughed so hard that my eyes water. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there's a relationship that I was with that I almost married. Ever since him, I hadn't met someone who had that best friend vibe to where I can laugh, like we can stay up late, just laugh. Okay, I don't know where I left off. Hopefully that this picks up. My camera did something. But anyways, yeah, I was in a relationship for 4 years and we were super, super best friends to a point where we would like die laughing. Like it was just like, that was like my best friend. Like I loved partying with him. I loved doing everything with him. And it was just, after that, I had dated 2 guys and it was just missing the friendship vibe, like the best friend vibe. I'm probably gonna cry. I'm probably gonna cry. I thought I had time. I'm not even into the story yet. With this guy, sorry. It's fresh. With this guy, I finally felt the best friend vibe again. And I didn't think that I could have that friendship vibe like I did with the guy in the past that I was gonna marry. Yeah, we have a lot of fun together, and just he's so funny and so charming, and such for the pain that he's been through in the past. He is so magnetic, and I told him that that's one of my favorite parts about him, is that you can't even tell that he's been through what he's been through, because he came out on the other end like still giving love, still being of service. And for the sake of respect for him, I'm not going to, sorry, my dog just came on my bed. If I'm looking that way, that's no thanks. No. But out of respect for my ex, my most recent ex, I don't want to share any parts about his past or anything, even though you guys don't even know his name or anything, or even what he looks like, because I didn't even post him. I only posted his side. It was like a soft launch. But yeah, he's such a great guy, and he's like so full of love, and he's very, I don't know, I'll get into this in a bit, but anyways, yeah, so everyone was shooketh, including myself, because everyone was like, that's your husband. Like one thing about him, there's many things about him. He is a provider. I just felt very safe with him, and he's done a lot of the inner work. And it shows, it's integrated, right? There's people who have done work, but sometimes they miss the mark in the integration, right? And it's not to say that I'm perfect, because there's a lot of things that I haven't integrated yet, but a lot of things that I have. And that was one of them for him. He's just such a great guy. He's an angel. And so anyways, I'll get into why we broke up. I'm going to look at my notes. I'm going to talk about the beauty of conscious endings, what I manifested, emotional maturity and self-love in breakups, the breakup ritual that we are going to have in a few weeks, the lessons I learned, and then empowerment and hope for y'all. Because this was not a failure. I don't view this as a failure. I don't view any of my past as failures. And I'll talk about that reframe, but I'm gonna try not to make this so long. The intro was already long. It's also an intro, but if you're here, I fuck with you because you're still here, and I'm such a yapper. So I'm gonna try to like loop it back. And so the main something that's really, really big for me, and how I can determine whether we're going to be good for the long haul and whether like I want to be in partnership with you, is conflict repair. Couples, it's very human and regular and common to get into conflict, right? But the key thing is, how do you repair? Do you talk about it? Is there resentment after? Do you guys hash it out? Do you have mature conversations? Are the egos put aside to have these conversations? And are they like safe? Like, are you guys throwing daggers at each other? Are you like hitting below the belt during these? And like, how do you repair from that? That's also my non-negotiable, is good repair. And I say all this to say he had excellent repair. Me and him were inputting tools that were being integrated into our relationship. And so I really, really was so bummed to go through this breakup, because our repair game was just, I had never seen a repair game like how we were repairing. And above all of this, like I said, I manifested him. I manifested someone who was equally obsessed with me as I am with him. We are both givers. We are both done the work. We both communicate very, very well. We were literally like, that was my ideal partnership. Like, I can go on and on about how amazing we worked well as a partnership. We repaired well. We understood each other. We used I statements. If you know what I statements are, we're just it's because we've done the work and we've been to therapy, right? And so anyways, the reason you guys are like, oh my God, just fucking say it. The reason, I will say 2 words. And after I say these 2 words, I don't want you guys to turn off the video. I want you to rock with me, because the reason why I'm doing a video is because there's a huge, huge learning lesson in all of this. And it's very important for me to share this message. Okay. The reason why we broke up is my dog is looking at me. Charlie Kirk. If you're watching this, you probably know, or maybe you don't know, the political climate that we're in and the divide. I mean, it's not a new divide, but man, when Charlie Kirk died and people were posting him, and I want to preface, if you're watching this, I want to preface that saying that I don't believe that anyone deserves to die. I also don't believe in the death penalty. I don't even believe in UFC. Like, I don't like watching violent things. I'm a lover of peace and love, and I don't believe in the death penalty. So I don't believe in anybody getting murdered. I'm not celebrating his murder. There's a lot of things, and I won't get too far deep into this, but when Charlie Kirk died, the way that people were showing up for the death was surprising to me and a lot of people and a lot of the world, because some people were just quiet about the genocide, quiet about school shootings, quiet about all these things, but then because it was too political. But then when this man dies, who has a track record, I'm not going to spend all my energy on this, but he has full evidence of saying very harmful things to many different communities, women, the trans communities, LGBTQ, immigrants, all these things. There's like actual videos. And this is not to say, I'm not going to focus this on him. However, I want you to stay with me here because it's important. And this is why I did the video. So it created this like huge divide, like even bigger divide, right? Which is what the government wants us to do. By the way, the government doesn't want us to work together because there's power in numbers. So if we work together, then we can overthrow the government, right? But that's not what the government wants, because anyways, so with Charlie Kirk's death, he had posted something and I had posted something, and it really, really shined a light that we have very different views. Very, very, very different views. I'm not saying he's a bad person, in which I'll explain. And what I've realized, stay with me here, stay with me. I will admit that when someone in the past, I can admit to my prejudice in the past. Not prejudice. Assumptions, right? Negative assumptions. I have labeled people in my mind. I have judged people based off their political party. I will fully admit that in the past, I've said that I prefer not to work. If I'm going to hire a photographer or a videographer or hire someone on my team, in the past, I have not wanted to work with someone who blatantly is with a certain political party. Or not a political party, who supports someone within a political party. I hope you're catching what I'm saying. And, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I was kind of wrong. I was kind of wrong in that, I'm trying to choose my words intentionally, but I have kind of stamped people who support a certain person just a stamp of like, nah, I don't fuck with them. Like, regardless, I don't want to hear their side. I don't want to like I just don't fuck with him. That was my whole thing before him, right? And so what really, really was beautiful, the word beautiful, I'm using the word beautiful, it is beautiful, is I really got to know him. And mind you, I didn't ask him this from the jump. I didn't have my checklist, remember? And so I was just getting to know him for him. And then this came out that he was a Charlie Kirk fan. And I was like, we really need to talk about this, right? And so we had made this, we were both like on edge because we were just like, we both had our certain assumptions based off each side, right? And so we agreed, after we took a breather from each other, we agreed that we are going to have a mature talk. We're not going to talk down on each other. The whole point is to understand one another and not pass judgment or not try to convince the other person to jump to the other side, right? Because like, I'm not here to convince you. We're just here to understand each other and then make a conscious decision that is this fitting or not. Okay. So this was like a 3-part series, right? This was like a 3-day extravaganza, if you must, of communicating to each other why it's not in alignment and like just understanding one another. And so I want to preface real quick. That I am an activist. I'm an indigenous woman of the Northern Mariana Islands. I was born and raised here. My ancestors walked these lands thousands and thousands of years ago. And the government is currently here kicking us off our land and poisoning our waters and all these things. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I just did a summit. I was just the program coordinator of a summit that housed the activists in Micronesia to work together and to strengthen our bonds so that we can keep up the fight of decolonization and demilitarization and climate change and all these things. I'm a motherfucking activist. And so the polarity between here and here, I'm not saying he's a bad person. The polarity between being a Charlie Kirk fan and not fan, supporter, whatever, is too great of polarity for us to coexist in peace. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I literally am seeing him in a few weeks to have our closing ritual, which I'll share what that is. What I have found, pardon. Oh, it's getting hot in here. What I have found is that I will admit that I just stamped people as ignorant or like sometimes not smart, not having information. And I just want to be completely honest, right? Because we do have those prejudices and judgments. And so it was kind of a shocker, but not really to me, because we had talks in the past of like trans rights and trans, don't deserve the hate and all these things. And he's explained to me his stance on certain things. So I guess in my head, I just assumed that he was in line with a lot of my core values, which, by the way, he is. We've talked about this in our 3-day extravaganza of seeing if it's in alignment or not, is that we had the same core values, that he believes that everybody should be treated equally. All these things, we had the same core values. However, the thing that got us in, that is not in alignment, is he doesn't believe that DEI is productive. And so it's not a matter of, in this instance, can be very unique, right? And this can be eye-opening for y'all too, is that as a white man, he's also white, by the way. I don't know if I shared this. He doesn't believe that that's a good tool. He believed that there were other ways, like going into like childhood. I don't want to butcher what he was saying, but like he thinks that it's better to address it like at the root, and childhood trauma and like all these things, like getting into the school systems, pouring into the school systems and all these things. So I'm not going to say that he doesn't think it's like stupid, right? He just doesn't see that it's as productive, whereas I'm a full-blown activist, and that's what I fight for, is DEI. Because, side note, it is my life. As an Indigenous woman, and a woman of color and a daughter of immigrants, I quite frankly don't have an option to not be an activist, because my livelihood depends on it. And that's what privilege is that you cannot be political because your livelihood doesn't depend on it, right? And so we had multiple conversations, and we had agreed that if it gets too turned up, like if the conversation gets too heated, then we're going to remove ourselves and just meditate and and just like come back to, and when it's respectful. But we never got disrespectful. He never was like, you're wrong, this and this. He was like, oh, I understand where you're coming from, and it was so mature, y'all. Like, I never thought that I could participate in a conversation like that, and props to us, pat us on the back. And so yeah, he also, something that was very, very big for me was that he doesn't believe that white privilege is a thing. Yeah. And so that could be problematic in my world, in the world that I want to create for myself and for my children. That could be problematic in the work that I do. So he did support me in the activism work that I've done. And mind you, we were new, right? So we haven't been dating for a long time. And so he was supportive of like the summit that I had been, helping out with and all these things. But there comes a point where you can support what I'm doing, but if you don't fully understand why it's helpful and why it's important to me and important for the world, then there's going to be like tension or like possibly resentment, or just these things later down the line, right? Because what I've realized too is activism is not a hobby of mine. It's not something that I do for fun. It's literally part of who I am. And it's part of my God-given journey and my God-given journey, and what my soul's journey is to be an activist. And I'm aware that I'm like the most heightened activist in my current friend group. Like, I'm very, very passionate about it, and it's a part of me, and it's something that I am not willing to negotiate. And so what I have found when we took a break to like really think about what we want, right? And then the next day, on the last day, I realized, I was like, yeah, I just don't think we're compatible. And he was like, yeah, I also thought about that too. And we said our respects, and we were very said our gratitude. And in the next few weeks, when I see him in person, because we were long distance, when I see him in person, we're going to read each other letters to each other of like how grateful we are, and like how we grew from the relationship, and just like saying a proper goodbye, because a lot of us don't get closure, right? Like, a lot of us, that's like such a gift, and I wanted this closure with him, and vice versa. And so looping it back, let's take it back. Shout out to ChatGPT. And before you guys cancel me about ChatGPT, I want to say that I use it intentionally, and I believe that there's not a perfect environmentalist, right? You can secondhand shop, you can not use ChatGPT, you can do all these things, and there's still ways that you're probably harming the environment, right? Like using straws or buying stuff that are in plastic, right? So I just want to say that we shouldn't judge each other. We're all showing up differently, as long as we're intentional and as long as we're not hurting other people, right? So there are some things that I do. For example, I'm primarily plant-based. I don't eat meat. I rarely eat meat, and meat uses a lot of the environment's resources, and also it really wastes water. right? So I save the planet by not consuming meat. I also don't, this might be TMI, but I don't flush the toilet unless it's a number two. So if I pee, I just leave it there and I close the lid to reserve water. I also don't shop new, like fast fashion. Everything that I have that I currently own is 99.9 given to me or secondhanded, and I also barely shop. So I say all this to say there's no perfect environmentalist, and it's not productive to shame each other. With that being said, ChatGPT gave me a spectrum of what I want in a partner in terms of how involved in activism I want them to be. And mind you, I never even thought of this, right? And that's why I'm also very, very grateful that I've met this sweet angel of man, regardless of his political views, because I never thought that was something that would be a non-negotiable for me. So on the spectrum, there's like a 0, he totally is against activism, all these things, and then there's like levels, right? And number 5 is like understands privilege, does the research to like actively unlearn things, full-blown activist, right? And it asked me where I want someone, my ideal life partner, what spectrum I want them to be, because he was at like a 2 or like a 3, where it could cause like resentment or like tension in the future if I continue. And I love how I input in ChatGPT. I don't ask it for answers. I ask it to spit me back coaching questions so that I can get the answer for myself. Because I don't like when people tell me what to do. I like really good, deep, reflective, introspective questions, right? And so I decided that from what we talked about, he was more like a 2 or 3, and didn't have ill intent, by the way. And this is also why I'm doing this YouTube video. But I decided that I want someone out of 5. If I was not a regular person, if I wasn't an activist, if I was just like someone who just participates in life and not on this spectrum, then the polarity between me and him wouldn't be as great. But because I'm an activist, I literally have a mother. Hold on. I just fucking tripped. I wore this shirt last week for the summit. I almost ate shit. No, I did eat shit actually, to prove a point. I'm a fucking activist at the end of the day. Okay, I don't know why the camera keeps doing this, but I realized that I need someone on the 5, right? So it's actually really, really funny, and God and the universe, whoever you believe in, I manifested everything I wanted in a guy, an emotional, intelligent guy. I mean, the biceps were a motherfucking plus, okay? And he was tall and just so good looking. Like, I told God, I was like, this was years ago, like, I don't even really need a guy who's just like gorgeous, right? Like, it's fine. That's not really high on my priority. And God was like, no, I'm going to send you someone who like checks all the boxes and just looks like a fucking Ken doll, like with depth and emotion. Anyways, at the end of the day, the day's got to end. At the end of the day, I manifested exactly what I wrote on the list. And what I didn't write on the list was the whole activism spectrum, right? So I don't chalk this up as a failed relationship. I chalk this up as a beautiful opportunity. I don't know, I'm getting emotional. A beautiful opportunity to really like see. It held up a mirror to my own prejudice, because I would have completely stamped him out, like if I would have known that from the jump. And it just shows that there are emotionally mature men out there, and he literally, since I met him, I hadn't paid for anything. And I'm not gonna say that that's like a driving factor, right? But just like he is has such a provider mentality, so safe, very validating, to the point where when we would have conflict, right? He when I was talking, he would ask me to take breaks in my talking so he can reiterate what I say to him so that it can confirm that I'm listening and that he's not missing anything that I said, of confirming and acknowledging anything that I said. And if you're a woman, you fucking know, and I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl of 3 brothers. So you know that men, maybe you haven't had this experience and I love that for you, but like, you know when you text men a long ass thing and they only acknowledge like one part of the fucking text? That irritated the fuck out of me. Anyways, he was not like that. But I say all this to say that it was such a beautiful experience for me, because it also showed me how much emotional maturity I have, because I could easily go into that conversation and be like, and y'all, I'm an activist, so going into a Charlie Kirk conversation for someone you've been dating, you know that tensions will be high, right? But we were so respectful and so open-minded and so like not accusatory. It was just we handled it with grace and we handled it with love, and we're still cordial. Obviously we were gonna do like no contact and everything so we can grieve. It is a relationship breakup, so there should be grieving, right? But we're going to write letters to each other and read it out loud and express our gratitude for one another and then move on. And it was, and I had just posted him. I just essentially I don't know if it's a hard or soft launch, but because I covered his face, but it was a launch. And you know what I will say is that I don't care to post and then have a short relationship, right? Because this relationship was like 2 months. I don't care about showing the world that I am brave. I don't look at it as a failed relationship to where I'm in shame. I look at it as I'm brave and courageous to open myself up to love, to the possibility of love. I am brave enough to show people that it's okay that I learn, and you guys are watching me learn, and I'm fine with that. That's also, you know, it is the kind of world in the content creator world where I signed up for it. However, I signed up for it because it genuinely brings me joy. And that's also why I started this YouTube channel, because I love to storytell and I love to yap, but yapping for a purpose, right? And so I want to, and also side note, sorry that this is all over the place. I wanted to show that I am operating in abundance and not scarcity, because the past version of me could have held on to this relationship because I'm like, well, he ticks all the boxes. Like, what's one little thing that like maybe we can like, maybe I can change his mind. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. We get so sold on potential as women. And I broke that cycle, and I have been breaking that cycle because my last relationship was only 6 months. And maybe people can look at it as like a failed relationship. But for me, that is proof that I can move on and get the fuck up and out of something that I'm not supposed to be in. Because if you know, we were programmed to be ride or dies. My mom is with the same person she's been with since she was 19. Like, that was modeled for me. So in my head, I was programmed to believe I have to fucking ride or die. No matter what, I have to be in the passenger. No matter if we're driving off a cliff, if you're a good person, if you're a good wife, if you're a good girl, you get in that car and you buckle your seat and you shut the fuck up and you just just ride till the wheels fall off. No, baby, I'm getting out the fucking car. First, I'm gonna roll, stop, drop, and roll out. And so, yeah, this was such a beautiful chapter, and I'm gonna, write it in the letter. This was such a beautiful chapter of honoring myself, honoring some person also in a respectful manner that was not aligned, operating from abundance and not scarcity, that I may not ever find someone. Like I said, had the best friend vibe. It's also a reflection of standing on motherfucking business. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. It's also a reflection of standing on motherfucking business. And I motherfucking did that. I fully believed, and this is just part of my journey, and I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of women in my career as a self-love coach. Your success in life and in your inner peace is very much tied to how much you stand on business in dating and stand on business in with men, not just men, pardon. I'm not being inclusive of the LGBTQ community. The way that you stand on business in dating in general and in partnerships directly affects your whole fucking life. It affects your career. It affects your peace, your mental health, quite literally your body, right? It affects everything. And so the fact that I can stand on fucking business, knowing that I've been a rider for cheaters, I've been a rider for unhealthy dynamics and stuff, it was such a beautiful confirmation of the work and the integration of all the work that I've been doing for the past like 8 years, right? Like I think I started maybe 7 years. I started my blog and I started therapy. I started a blog because I started going to therapy and started sharing my story of how fucking amazing therapy is. And so, yeah. So what I want you to take from this, breakups don't have to be destructive. Also, it shows that I'm trusting, right, in the universe and God and what's up ahead. Because remember, like I said, before I met him, I had grown this belief that meeting my person is inevitable. And am I going to say that this breakup is not going to hurt because of that? No, pain is pain. But pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. What I want to conclude with is there's clean pain and dirty pain. Clean pain is acknowledging what's happening and the pain regarding the situation. Dirty pain is creating disempowering stories about said situation. So for example, clean pain is we are not aligned and we broke up and it was for the betterment of our future together and, you know, our possible kids and all these things. And anyways, so that's the clean pain. The dirty pain of that was I'm not good enough. I'm clearly not good enough. I'm not gonna find someone else. Every man is this and this, like men ain't shit, like all these things, all these disempowering stories about men, the world, or myself. That's dirty pain. Participating in clean pain is the best way to process a breakup or any transition or life in general, because it's clean. Like pain, we cannot go through the whole human experience without pain. It's inevitable. But suffering is the one that creates more those disempowering thoughts. Disempowering meaning they don't uplift you. They're not empowering thoughts. We really want to catch ourselves when we're participating in dirty pain. And so, yeah, navigating through this breakup, I'm going to make sure that it's clean pain and seeing the beauty of it, right? And this is not an overnight process, I want to say. This has taken a lot of intentional work. It's not to say that it could take forever to do it, but it's very, very intentional work. And we're both at peace. And yeah, it's gonna suck because that was my guy, y'all. Like that was like, he's so funny. He's so charming. And even regardless of being charming and funny, he's such a good person. That man is like so reliable, such a great friend to people. He's just a great person. And so, gosh, the reason why I also wanted to share this too was like, if we can all approach this political climate of, first and foremost, wait. There are some people who are moving with very obvious ill intent, with a lot of malice of wanting to hurt people. And there are people who are not at the level of awareness yet or maybe, I don't know yet, who are just simply like, for me, the way that I look at it is he's just not at a level of awareness that would create peace within our relationship. He does not move with malintent. He doesn't intentionally do things to spew hate or shit on people or all these things. I can very much sniff that out, and I would not be in a relationship with a person who was like that. And so my whole hope in this is that we open our minds and our hearts. I'm not going to say open up your mind and heart to someone who's gonna hurt you or hurt communities of people and all these things, but it really made me think, it really opened up my heart more for more compassion, and for me not to just completely stamp them out and be like, nah, I don't fuck with them. I don't fuck with them. And so that's also why I wanted to make this YouTube video, because if we can, it's these conversations, y'all. It's these conversations that make the world a better place and make the world a safer place. Because I'm not going to say that I didn't change his mind, because that's his journey. And I'm not in the business of changing whoever's on that side. I'm not in the business of changing their mind. However, I'm going to show up with love. I'm going to show up with integrity. I'm going to show up in my core values, to where it's not harming anybody. And maybe, just maybe, I haven't talked to him about this yet. Or actually, he did mention that meeting someone like me has like opened up his mind and opened up his heart and all these things, which that was him for me, right? And so I'm really grateful for that, even though it was like very high tension political times right now, because I had a tendency in the past to just cancel people out without hearing them out. Did it change my mind? Absolutely not. Like, of where I stand on my core values and the fight and the activism that I'm doing? Absolutely not. It actually made me put a fire more in me, but in a safe, compassionate, fiery way, to where like I'm gonna go even harder with the stuff that I do with my community, my nonprofit. I put my nonprofit thing up here for the background, and this thing, which is probably gonna fucking fall on me because it fell last night. Just to approach things like, I'm not here to convince the masses, especially on that side, to change their mind, but it's in these small, intimate, loving, safe containers, because what we had was a container, right? A safe container that maybe made a little shift within him that maybe can turn into a ripple in the future. I'm getting emotional. I'm on my period right now. But that's what makes the world a better place, is when we can have these exchanges and it be a safe and loving place. And like I said, we didn't want to change each other's mind, but we're like leaving with gratitude and an open mind. And my hope is that maybe down the line he looks more into it, or maybe he has more safe experiences to where it can really challenge some of the thoughts that or beliefs that he upholds. Because the last thing that I'll say about this is that what I've learned about white supremacy, I'm not saying he's a white supremacist, but what I've learned about white supremacy is that it's carefully designed to where it convinces people, specifically white people, that it heightens judgment and like hate and fire, because it's designed to convince them that, I'm not saying it's him, people who are white supremacists, it's designed to help them, or not to help them, it's designed to make them believe that people who are against white supremacy are trying to take the power away from them, or like take them down, or as a threat, right? And I'm sorry, I'm like lack of sleep right now, so I'm like butchering it. I hope you're catching me with this. The way that white supremacy is designed is it makes them believe that if they admit to their privilege, or if they admit to other things, then they lose their power, that their lives are threatened, right? White supremacy frames others as a threat. So it creates a false scarcity mindset that if others gain power, then you lose your power, right? I'm so glad I wrote this down because I knew I was going to space out. It's and they do fear as a control tactic. So it uses fear to pit groups against each other, right? Like the immigration panic, reverse racism narratives, all these things, so that the focus stays on fighting each other instead of like questioning the system. That's what the system is designed to do. That is what the system is designed to do. That is That is what the system is designed to do. And so it's such a very smart design to where it pits people against each other, right? And so in the terms of human biology, some people are stuck in that mindset because, and this was also him too, that he was in an environment that kind of echoed already his beliefs and everything, right? Again, he's not a bad person. However, if you are in a environment and everybody matches what you believe in, if you even dare to question or step out of it or to be curious to go against that way of thinking, that means you lose community. That means you lose comfort. That means you lose community, right? And back in caveman days, we have to roll in packs in order to survive. So someone needed to sleep while someone was on watch. Someone needed to get the food. Someone needed to care for the kids. You had to move in packs or quite literally you would fucking die, right? So that's why present as humans, we have the same brains as caveman brains. Follow me now. That's why when people are like, oh my gosh, why do I care so much what other people think? Because we have the same brains as caveman. If we get X'd out of a group or the community, our brain thinks we are going to die. Okay, it fucking died on me. Where was I? Okay. So like I was saying, back in caveman times, if you were X'd from the group, you would quite literally die. And so fast forward to now, it's no wonder why we have this like, our hearts racing or we feel tense and all these things, or sometimes we feel like we're literally going to die. It feels like we're going to die if we are not accepted by the community or by a group of people or by our peers, right? And so I say all of this to say that sometimes people are unknowingly in that chamber, that echo chamber, and even if they have the curiosity, they also don't just need curiosity, they need bravery, they need nervous system regulation, they need the tools to equip themselves to break free from that way of thinking, right? And so, yeah, this whole relationship just I looked at it in a lens of like, he's not a fucking white supremacist or a racist or all these things. It's just that his current way of thinking isn't aligned with my way of thinking, because I also spent a lot of my time, I didn't grow up in America. I moved here when I was 12. So there's a lot of things that I learned, especially in a predominantly white school with white textbooks, white teachings, and all these white teachings that were rooted in white supremacy that are very, very sneaky. I had to do my own unlearning, and I also dated an activist before him, or two exes before him, that really pointed me in the direction of following the curiosity to empower my people, to empower other marginalized, underserved communities. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to say that it's not with what I have proof that it is not someone with, malice intent or ill intent. It's just a means of like how much unlearning they've done and their journey, and also their desire and their courage and their nervous system regulate. There's so many different aspects of why he's currently in the mindset that he's in, and it's not up to me to change his mind. It is not up to me to change his mind. Ay. I have been sold on potential. I actively was a participant in being sold in potential. I want to take accountability in the past, and I'm not in the business right now of being sold on potential. We do this a lot, especially as women, and there's lots of reasons why we do it, and maybe I'll just dive into in another episode of why I did it myself, like the unconscious and subconscious reasons why I always got sold on potential. That's for like part 2 or something, right? But anyways, to wrap this up, the main lessons is don't give up on manifesting your dream life or your dream person because something that you thought that was your person didn't work out. Sometimes things are sent to you to refine your manifestations. Like for this, now I for sure am going to bring up and put on the non-negotiable that he has to be a 5 on the activism scale, right? That I didn't know that I fucking needed that until this. Continue to be a good person with boundaries. Continue to act in your highest self, even in the face of opposition, even in the face of someone who's on a completely other side of a political spectrum as you, because that might just be the ripple that creates waves later on, right? It's in those, like I said, intimate, small, personal relationships that could really shift the masses. We think that we have to convince the masses and that's how we'll turn them, but no, it's in these small, safe containers, right? And it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard to be in that. What we did was fucking hard. Oopsie. What we did was hard. Pardon my fucking, everything's falling apart. My relationships, my mic, my fucking camera. Just kidding. Okay, my camera keeps motherfucking dying. Anyways, the last thing that I'll say is stand on business and dating. The few last things that I want to say is that I am intentionally creating a life for my kids before they get here. I have become my own boss. I don't work as much. I can have a flexible schedule. I can live wherever. And I do this, a lot of this, well, for myself and my fulfillment, but also for my kids. And my belief is that one of the greatest things that I can gift my kids is a safe father who's aligned for their empowerment and their just the best, giving them the best life and the most, having them be the most authentic, empowered, liberated version of themselves. My kids will not have a choice of who their father is, but I get to choose. And that's why I'm so intentional. And this is also why I stand on business and dating, right? Like I wrote down, discipline is when you choose long-time fulfillment over like the quick fixes or the quick dopamine hits or the things that feel good now but end up having harm later, like shitty food. You eat shitty food, it feels good in the moment, and then illness comes later or you feel like shit later, right? Discipline is choosing long-time fulfillment over instant gratification and instant satisfaction. That's discipline. That's standing on business. That's self-love. Gotta wrap this up before the camera dies cut. And you can look at some people may look at my relationship like, wow, another failed relationship. However, also because it was short, right? I literally posted the photo not too long ago just to take it down. But also it shows it's all about the reframe. You can look at it as another failed relationship for her, or you can really look at it and be like, damn, she motherfucking stands on business. one thing that woman is going to do is stand on fucking business and stand on her core values and stand what she's passionate about and what she deserves. And she's not sold on potential. She's trusting. She has this inner knowing. She has this belief that who she's supposed to be with is, and not supposed to be with, her life partner is out there and it's inevitable, right? That's what I'm operating in. I'm not like, oh my gosh, people are going to think it's a failed relationship. Or even if I do have those thoughts, I know how to transmute them. I know how to coach myself and make it an empowering belief and thought, right? The last thing that I'll say, I was already creating this before the breakup, but I am creating a stand on business dating course. This is for, I wrote it down so I don't forget. To stop repeating, this is for the course for the women who want to stop, not just women, femmes. Honestly, it's not solely to women. To stop repeating the same love lessons, to break out of the loop of emotionally unavailable partners and situationships, to learn to trust yourself, to discern between intuition or fantasy so you stop getting sold on potential. Honoring your alignment, so choosing partners and relationships that reflect your values and not your fears and not your traumas, right? I had to break the cycle of patterns of choosing choosing addiction, not addicts. I don't like to frame it in that way. Choosing people who are at the mercy of addiction. So I'm removing it from their identity and placing it on the epidemic of addiction. Approaching dating with abundance and not scarcity. So trust that you never have to settle just to have someone, right? Operate from self-trust so you can move from relationships quickly, gracefully, and without the low blows, right? Some people maybe look at my story and is like, oh my gosh, is she not fucking tired of like getting to know new people and all these things? And no, because like I'm not staying where it's not aligned, period. To set and stick to your standards, to stand on business, right? So no more guilt about asking for what you deserve or settling for less. How to communicate your boundaries early so you don't waste months or years or whatever much in half relationships. To exit cycles faster. So leave when the evidence presents itself instead of waiting for a bigger heartbreak, because a lot of people wait till we're fucking dragged and in the corner getting our ass beat to leave. I don't want that to be you anymore. And then stepping into dating with unfuckwithable energy, grounded, proud, and confident that no matter what your relationship status is, you know you are that bitch. That is the course that I've been building even prior to the breakup because it fucking applies. Like, look at the integration, baby. Look at the integration. Maybe the universe wanted me to show y'all this before I fucking launched it because this was not planned. Like, trust me, it wasn't planned. And trust me, I could just fucking ignore it and just stay with him because he's just an angel and has very nice biceps and just treats me well and all these things. But like, I stand on business and I know that it's not in alignment, right? So if you want to get on the wait list for that course, it'll be in the link. I'm new to this YouTube world, so it'll be in the description. And I can't wait to shoot another episode. I need to figure out this whole fucking camera thing. But I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Like, comment, subscribe. I've been saying that jokingly for years, but now I can actually fucking say it. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for being here, and I'm so grateful for you. And buckle up, babes, because I got some motherfucking tea ahead and lessons and gems and wisdom to share, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you.